Welcome back to Beyond the Plan. Today's episode is a special one for me because I get to sit down with someone who's not only incredibly accomplished, but is also my dear friend, Jen Kirby. Jen is really good at taking something like benefits, which can get complicated fast, and making it feel simple and practical. She's built her career around helping individuals and business owners find clarity, peace of mind, and solutions that are truly customized to them. She holds a number of designations and has started a number of businesses, which speaks to the depth of knowledge she brings. But more than anything, it's the way she shows up for her clients and the community that stands out to me. She's also been a longtime supporter of myHSA and someone that I've learned from so much over the years. In this conversation, we're going to dive into benefits, especially HSAs, and how they've evolved. We're going to talk about how they continue to shift in our industry alongside the needs of employers, advisors, and employees. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Jen, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Danielle. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. When we were filming this with Steve a few months back, he name dropped you 3 times in that podcast, and it made me realize it's so obvious we should have you as a guest on the podcast.
Honestly, that I was so grateful and so humbled by that. I guess it's a good reminder of you never know the impact you're going to make on somebody. And just a good reminder of all the amazing relationships we build in this industry. And I was so touched, honestly.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm also so touched by the support that you've had from HSA since the beginning. I actually did some research this morning on our site.
Oh, no.
I looked to see when Vital Partners joined myHSA, and the date was April 1st, 2016, which means it was actually before that. That means you were brought on to myHSA 2.0 because you were on myHSA 1.0, which is crazy. So you were with myHSA from the very start, because anyone that shows that date shows that they were actually pulled off of that and put on our new platform, which is the platform that's standing today, which is so cool. I'd love for you to kind of go back and tell me what it was like when you learned of myHSA and met Tim and Steve.
Oh, that is a funny story, Danielle. I so remember the day because they came in and they were so hip and so cool. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're way too cool for me. But they were like kids that had just completed a Lego set and really wanted to show you something, and just their passion and excitement. And they really wanted to introduce something new and different to the market, really took the time to figure out, what the market wanted and needed. And that passion is just continued today. And with your team, you're just incredible team people, so unique, and really care about your advisors and about employees. And really what you say is what you mean. And the trust, the passion, the energy, you and your team are just continuing that tradition. And man, I think back to when I met with Tim and Steve, and it's exactly how we feel today. So, yeah, I feel just honored to have been part of that journey.
Oh my goodness. That means so much to me. My main focus is wanting to make sure that I carry on the same legacy that they set up. And coming from you, because I know that you also put the customer first. You really do. I've seen it. We've worked together on it many times.
Yeah.
Making sure that business owners and customers feel like they are taken care of. We have them back. You are like the queen of that. So I also want to know, if you can tell a little bit of the story of when you joined this industry, or what, as a little girl, were you like, I want to be a financial planner and an entrepreneur?
Oh, okay. I also have a funny story about that. So when I was in high school, my mom paid for career counseling. And the report came back and said the best career for me would be either a fireman or an insurance advisor.
Putting out flyers in both ways?
Yeah,
Or...
that's probably it. And I thought, there's no way I'm traveling around with a briefcase door to door. And there's no way I'm running out of burning buildings. So went to university, finished my degree, and kind of at a loss about what next steps. And I had been recruited to play volleyball at Mount Allison University. And London Life recruited athletes, probably because you get beaten down in this industry and have to get back up, and it's tough when you start out. So kudos to London Life for recruiting athletes. And I did all my interviews in Moncton. They said, you know more people in Calgary, you grew up there, so move back to Calgary. And that's how I started. And literally the first day, my manager slid a phone book. I don't know if you ever knew what a phone book was, Danielle, but slid a phone book across the desk and said, "Have at her." And for the next 3 years, I cried every day. It was just the hardest business. 22 years old, trying to sell insurance. Um, but it's been a really rewarding ride. So once you get over that initial hump, it's been just a fantastic career, and I feel so honored to be part of this industry.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How old were you then when you started your own thing?
Yeah, so 2015, so I was 12 years in the business. So this was 2007. I somehow convinced my sister to join the business. She just finished her MBA in Vancouver, and she joined me in the business, and then we started Vital Partners together in 2015, and it's been just a really fun ride to be able to work with your sister. We're very different skill sets, but that's what's made us successful as a firm, because we do bring different things to the table. So 2015 we had an employee, Karen, join us, and she's just an amazing person. We could not do anything without our team.
Yeah.
Sheila joined us a few years later, and now in 2024 we became part of the Leslie Consulting Group. They're based out of Toronto, and now we're able to really work with clients all across Canada, and now we work with an amazing team there as well. So it's been just a fun ride.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
congratulations on all of that. Like, that's such a cool ride. I actually just realized that out of all of the partners that myHSA has, I can probably name most of your team because your team really makes an impact. Especially, I grew up at myHSA through live chat, and having the warmth from your team all the time. I remember we'd see Vital Partners and we'd be like, "Yay, someone's going to be so nice to us for the next half hour." It was so great. Like, your team really is amazing, and the way that you've grown and the success and the accomplishments that you've achieved. I didn't know that you started out with your sister.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to my sisters. I have three. I don't think I could really start a business with any of them. Was that difficult at the beginning? Like, did your relationship have some turmoil because of that, or was it mostly?
I think that's just part of being sisters. But it's actually helped us because we were really able to have some really honest conversations, which is kind of hard to do when you're working with a colleague that's not related to you. But it's been really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really
That's
fun.
very cool.
Yeah.
I love to talk about, again, like, your success and your accomplishments, because something that Vital Partners and that you specifically do that I hear the contrary from a lot of advisors is having success selling spending accounts. We hear all the time from advisors that it's not worth the effort because whatever they make off of it is just such a small increment, or it's just not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. People here hate it when I say that, but I love that saying.
Yes.
So why is it that Vital Partners has had so much success selling HSAs, do you think?
I think because we've seen how much it's appreciated in the market by employees. In fact, I was just at Tim Hortons this morning and saying to somebody in front of me that I was really nervous about coming on to this podcast about health spending accounts today. And she said, "Geez, I'm a nurse and I just left an employer that had a health spending account. And we used to be able to put our running shoes through health spending or wellness accounts, I guess, in this case. Um, but she said, we really like the Hoka brand. They're really good shoes, and it really helped us be successful in our job." So I think just getting to know employees on a deeper level and really what makes them tick, we know that that's something that employees value, and it's an easy way to then talk to employers about that. And I think that's why we're so passionate about it. Because, we've literally seen how spending accounts can change someone's life. In fact, this week, I had a client, his wife is having a lot of hip pain and it was in line for hip surgery and just went to the States. And my HSA, and their health spending account was able to pay for some of that surgery, and it's been life changing. So I think just putting a human face to that has been really helpful.
Oh, I love that. And it's good to hear those stories too, like the hip surgery, people having to travel for those kinds of things, and HSA being able to use for the travel expenses as well as the surgery.
Yes.
Those things are so important, and things that people, advisors, a lot of times don't think of. They think that it's like an ancillary benefit that can just be the copay or the deductible. And I'm constantly trying to tell them it's so much more than that. So
Yeah.
I thank you for sharing the good news with everybody on that.
Well, look at the the post that you just did about surrogacy expenses. That was just a perfect example. I mean, that's completely changed since I started in the industry. You'd never have surrogacy expenses being funded with a health spending account. So that's just, kudos to you for, getting out there all the things you can do with a health spending account, because it's just so powerful.
When we were starting the podcast today, Haley turned on the camera and it was in black and white on the settings. And she said, "What the heck? Why is this in black and white?" And your response was that it's a perfect setting because you came into the industry in 1995. And then you asked me what year I was born.
I know, and that was really sad.
I was born in 1993. So, but you know what? This is really cool because we have your eyes on the industry and my eyes on the industry, and we have a lot in common, but there's probably a lot that I can learn from you too. And advisors who are just starting out, I think, would relish in having some advice from you. So, what would that be?
Well, I'll just paint you a little picture of 1995. When I started, there was a coffee shop in our building that you can smoke. And so we used to make cold calls, and to celebrate, we used to go down, and maybe I gave that a whirl. Not proud of the smoking part, but it was just a different world. There were no drugs that cost over $1,000 a year. Fax machines were cutting edge. That's what we used. We didn't use computers. We used typewriters, and we didn't have a typewriter. The admin staff would have a typewriter. Um, so things were so different. And I think, and when we thought about group benefits, I mean, people had to print off a form, complete it, put it in an envelope, and send it away. And it would take 2 weeks to get a check back. So now when people say, "Why is my claim taking more than one day to get paid?" I just laugh at those days, because things have completely changed. And that's been the biggest shift, is technology and instant gratification. I mean, I see it with my kids. You order something from Amazon, you get it the next day. And that's really changed the face of the industry. And my HSA has been leading edge in terms of technology. That's for sure.
That's really nice of you to say. It's funny that you mentioned Amazon. I always say I have this Amazon customer experience dream where eventually we're going to get there, but I want it so that claims submitted are looked at same day.
Yes.
So maybe not approved, maybe not processed, but at least an adjudicator has looked at it in the same day. That's my dream to get to eventually. But it's totally what you said, instant gratification. I find that other competitors of Amazon aren't even doing well because they deliver within 3 days or something like that. That same day or next day is the real thing that people want nowadays. So that instant gratification is something that I find a very specific age group is going for, maybe millennials and younger. What do you see with older clients? Are they having a hard time with the technology? Like, what is the experience for different demographics in this industry?
I used to think that, but I think that everybody has an iPhone, everybody has an iPad. So I think the comfort level, especially with the myHSA technology, it is so easy to use. It's the easiest. We get that feedback all the time from both plan sponsors and plan members. They just love the technology. And the nice thing is the flexibility. I think that's the other, piece that's really changed is, when you offer a health spending account, your employer is saying, "We trust that you're going to know what's important and the most impactful for your family, in terms of benefits," and just giving people that flexibility and choice. People love that.
I think that's also so tied in with demographics too, the flexibility, because this up and coming generation is also very different than the generations of the past, where
Definitely.
there's so many that are choosing not to have kids and are choosing to only have pets, or there's so many that are choosing to, stay single their whole life and not have dependents. And the family structure is not the same as it used to be.
No.
And the needs of employees are totally different than they used to be as well. And I think that we also have people staying in the workforce longer now. So we have employees that are staying in the workforce past 65 and not retiring because it's not as easy as it used to be to
No.
retire. So that's another area where I think spending accounts can come in, because sometimes insurance can cap out at a certain age, and an HSA It doesn't matter. You can work till you're 100 as long as you have a T4 income.
Yes.
So that's kind of an interesting thing. With all of those kind of factors involved, what would be your advice, do you think, to new advisors coming into this space to help them be successful?
I think I just ran my first marathon in November.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And as I was training and running and all the things, I was thinking my career in 30 plus years has really been a marathon. And it starts with one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time. And it just takes time. And you have to give yourself grace. You have to live your own definition of success. And you just have to look at it. It's a long game. And I think if you expect instant gratification, it may not happen.
Yeah.
The other thing is mentors show up. I have had incredible mentors, and I've been so lucky from, day one at London Life, where, I'd have people show up when I was crying in my office thinking this is not the career for me, to, when we started Vital Partners, and then now even, and you're a mentor to me because you've just, yeah, I honestly, I learned so much from, people from all different stages in this industry, because you really do bring, just such a different perspective. And I think it's continually learning and growing. And, people tease me because I have so many designations, but I know that, I've done a ton of reading and a ton of, education in this industry, and I know that's made a huge difference in opening doors.
Absolutely.
And I know I was just talking to a colleague that retired after 25 plus years, and she said the exact same thing. The secret to her success was reading, and I firmly believe that as well.
I love everything you just said, and I'm so flattered that you said I'm a mentor because you're a huge
Oh.
mentor to me. I'm gonna write that down and date it and frame it and put it in my office.
Well, and you
That
know what
Jen
you
said that I'm a mentor.
well, and you know what you've discovered is how to be you, and people do business with people they like and trust, and who are unique, and you're just you, and you figured that out from day one. It's taken me 30 years to realize that some of the things you already realized right off, from when you started at myHSA. You're just an incredible you know mentor to so many people. I know you are. So
Thank you so
yeah.
much. Okay, we need to not talk about me anymore. I want to talk more about you. That is so nice of you, though.
Yeah.
But a lot of the things you touched on are like things that I'm learning from mentors like you, like having people in your space that support you and set the example, even if it's little tiny, like micro characteristics that you pick up in an email and you go, oh, Jen was really soft and warm and herself in this email instead of being, a cold hard, what, that a lot of people feel they need to be to survive a male dominated industry. Those
Yeah.
are those micro characteristics I've picked up on over the years. And also continuously learning and reading, and people teasing you about your designations is so silly to me because the fact that you want to better yourself constantly, like never stop learning, is so important. Those kind of things make the difference between a regular person trying to get a paycheck and an entrepreneur who's going to have success.
Yeah.
I really feel that way.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably the best advice you could possibly give.
Yeah.
Those
Oh, thank
That's
you.
a well-rounded piece of advice for sure.
Well, that's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad we have it recorded because I'm going to review it and I'm going
Okay.
to
Perfect. And I might have to refresh myself because, as you know, this industry's tough. We're dealing with, people's claims and money. So, when people aren't getting reimbursed, it can be tricky. So, you're dealing with high emotions and tough conversations, and it is really important to stay grounded. And review. I have a sunshine file in my email folder.
Oh,
So
gosh.
if I get a nice comment from somebody, I put it in my sunshine folder. And sometimes you have to
I love
review
that.
those sunshine folders.
I might
and
have to do
stuff.
that. 'Cause
Yes.
you're right. And we
Yes.
train our support agents too when they start. We always tell them to expect people to come in frazzled because
Yes.
everything is at stake. Their health care
Yes.
is at stake. They might need this reimbursement to buy groceries for their kids this weekend.
Mhm.
They're expecting to have a bad experience because We offer our support through live chat. And I don't know about everyone else, but for me, 95% of live chat experiences I've had have been awful.
Yes.
And so people come in and they go, oh my gosh, my only option is live chat and everything's at stake. So I always train our support agents, come in super soft and let them know you're a human. You're here to help. We're on your side. We want to approve your claim. And by the end, we've had so many that start as a storm cloud and end up as sunshine and chat because they're coming in expecting to have a horrible experience and be told all the reasons for denying their claim. And usually it's, oh, we don't want to deny your claim. We just need you to get this one more little piece of information for us. They give us that context and then we can approve. So,
And my HSA has helped me out of so many jams and helped our team out of jams. And just yesterday, we had a tricky situation, and your team just jumped right in and instantly helped us solve the problem. And
Thank you.
we just have appreciated that so much. And I'm being very serious when I say that, is you make us look good. And that's just so meaningful to us. So
oh, thank you. That's
Yeah.
what we want to do. We want advisors to know that we're on their team.
Oh, yeah.
I always say to Haley and the rest of our team that my HSA is in a very privileged space as a business that we get to make all of our clients happy, even employees. So we're on the same team as advisors. We want to make advisors look good. We want them to have success with us. We want plan sponsors to have better employee retention and better competition in their space and to be able to speak to their company values through their spending accounts. And we want employees to get their reimbursements right now. So I don't know any other businesses off the top of my head that they actually get to cater to 3 customer groups and they're on the same team as all 3.
That's a really good point. And
Yeah.
I can say that you do all of those things 100%. So
Thank you.
yeah, really, really, truly appreciate what you've done for this industry. So
Oh, thank you so much. And I think that like I said kind of before, coming in live chat, speaking with people like yourself and others at Vital Partners, there is an example set there of how to really elevate the client experience, and you do set an example for us on our team. So
oh, thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much. Yeah, well, we couldn't be successful without our clients, that's for sure. We work with so many cool organizations and individuals, and it's just a privilege to get to know their stories and their employees, and really understand how we can help them. So
I think that's probably also a huge point of why you've been successful is you actually do go and meet the client, understand what their like even their employees. A lot of advisors might just go and meet the plan sponsor and get an idea from there, but actually learning about the employees, the company values, what can we do? Maybe introducing things to the plan sponsors they never even thought of for their benefit plan that they go, oh my gosh, my employees would love that. I know we've had that here where we think we've got it all figured out with spending accounts. We obviously have all the items on the list. And then one time we were all chatting and talking about what is on our WSA. And one of our employees went, can we get pet insurance? Like, I've been paying for my pet insurance out of pocket this whole time. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did we never think of that? Like, we are the spending account, but we didn't go and ask every single employee, like, what do you need on your spending account to make your life easier? And so we ended up actually just making a category called treat yourself. And it's
which
like,
is so, I just noticed that the other day.
Yeah.
And that was so wonderful.
it's
I
so
love
good
it.
for
Yeah.
plan sponsors who really do want to support their employees, but they don't expect their employees to bring up every single little thing.
Yes.
And the treat yourself category is great because, well, one person might want to join a chess competition. Another person might just be trying to pay their pet insurance. Another person might be, we've had people pay off their credit card because it's just an easy way to give themselves a little break. So I think that's also really important that you go and you listen to the plan sponsor, but not just the plan sponsor, but the employees of them, and get to know the customer, because that's how you really dig into these things.
Well, and your employees are your most important asset when you're running a business. And we know that at Vital Partners, we could not do our job without our amazing team. And so it's a statement that you're saying to the employers, we trust you. We know it's going to make the most meaningful difference in your life.
Yeah, you made me just think of a quote that I heard. I don't even know where I heard it. It might have been on an Instagram reel or something, but it was employer or an entrepreneur saying that the way to differentiate employees that are going to stay with your company from the ones that are not is if you're hiring them and you're looking at them as a as someone who will invest in your vision
Yes.
versus a tool for output. And if you're looking at them as a tool for output, you're not going to get them benefits that are good. You're just going to figure out, how can I get more work out of them?
No.
They're not going to invest in you either. But if you get employees like yours and like ours that invest in your vision and you invest back in them, that's going to change the trajectory of your success like crazy.
Well, and at the end of the day, we're all human, and people just want to be seen and heard, and that's it. People want to be able to spend their benefit dollars on what's most meaningful to them. Yesterday we had to put our dog down, and I'm just so sad. He's been with us for 8 years, and I'm gonna try not to cry, but a wellness account that pays for pet end of life visit is so meaningful, because it's costly, but it's I think about what Pluto did to our how he affected our whole family over the last 8 years, and it's just, you're not able to measure it. Sorry.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay. I send my condolences to you and your
Thank
family.
you.
I had to
Thank
put
you.
down a dog at the end of February. And it is it's obviously a really, really hard time, especially if you're the type of person like me that looks at your dog as like a family member.
Oh, totally.
And then it's weird because you go through this whole experience of giving your dog end of life care, or your cat or your animal. And then you get like an $800 bill,
I know.
and you're like,
Yes.
like, ouch, double ouch.
Yes.
But if there's like pet insurance, or,
Yeah.
a way to like at least lessen the load, and that's a pet. Some people are dealing with, like way, way crazy things,
It's crazy.
and a spending account can come in. I know I've seen, or I've posted about, back when I adjudicated, if I had a claim come through and it was for an invoice where a child is getting chemotherapy, I would literally pause and pray. I'm not super religious, but I would pause and pray to whatever's out there and just say, like, I hope that this is okay, and then approves the claim. Or surrogacy expenses, or in vitro, or sometimes under WSA, we see adoption fees and things like that.
Wow.
And so there's really exciting ones too. Or
Yeah.
service animals. That's another one that I'm always like, approve.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
you bring your whole person to work.
Mhm.
So you need to support your people in whatever stage they're going through.
Yeah.
And if you have a long-time employee, you see them through a lot of different stages.
Absolutely.
Birth of a child to, death of a parent, and
Mhm.
all those are, can be tricky situations. And
Yeah.
my HSA can really, and health spending accounts in general, can really fill the gaps where traditional insurance might not, just
Mhm.
tackle those things. So
Yeah, and I think I often think about, if you were to derive an HSA and a WSA and take out all the stuff an insurance carrier can cover anyways, like, you can coordinate them. And I think that Vital
Definitely.
Partners does that a lot, right? You have like the
Yes.
traditional benefit and then the HSA spending or WSA on top.
Yeah.
But I often think that because it can fill those gaps, it can cover life events that employees might not want to talk about, like a divorce, a separation. You can just
Yes.
give them legal fees in their WSA.
Yeah.
They don't have to tell their employer, hey, I'm separating from my spouse and I really need a hand with my legal fees. You just give them legal fees on their WSA, and it's a quiet, I'm helping you out here.
Yep.
There are so many areas like that I think that traditional benefits aren't quite up to speed on,
Yes.
you know?
I would agree. And that's we almost always use my HSA on top, layering on top of a traditional insurance plan. Now there is a purpose for insurance. When something really bad goes, you want a backstop there, but um, it's just such a great complement to your traditional benefits plan, and a really great way to add flexibility.
Absolutely.
So it's not one or the other.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So if it's not one and not the other, a lot of advisors look at an HSA, and most of the carriers out there have an HSA on their platform. So they go, well, why would I ever separate that and go with my HSA or a different carrier? Why? What do you say to that? Like, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, we have that conversation with our clients, because some do like the health spending account embedded with the carrier. However, my HSA really addresses a true HSA claim and a true HSA experience, and it's so flexible. We find that our plan sponsors, or the employers that we work with, they really like to know in real time where their money's at. And it's just the flexibility. You can go in there and make changes. You can add classes where if you have them embedded with the insurer, there's a lot of insurer rules that address the core benefits plan, but they can't really separate it from the health spending account. So that's really where we see the flexibility.
I
Yeah.
am learning that for the first time.
Mm.
I never thought about it that way. I've actually wondered myself what the differentiator is. And I always figured it was the fast claim turnaround and the customer service and things like that. But I never even thought of the fact that if you have it through the carrier and you want to change categories or add a treat yourself category or do
Yes.
those things, it's a little bit more of a tough road to do so. And yeah, okay, that's a really great answer.
Well, and lots of times you have to wait until the end of the year. So,
Oh,
the end of the benefit year. So you can't make changes mid-year. And, with every business, especially here in Calgary, with our economy, I've gone through a lot of business cycles over the years. You want to make changes that day, but you can't because just because you have to wait, and that doesn't always sit well with employers, especially entrepreneurs that want to be nimble and make changes as they go. So
that makes like a ton of sense. I actually can think of a few cases too where employers come to us and it's something with their employees has come up unexpectedly, and there is always the element of risk that you have to balance. But
yes,
we've had employers come to us and say, my employee had a death in the family and we want to help with funeral expenses. Can we add just a WSA category for funeral expenses to their list? If they had to wait until renewal, that's not going to really jump in and help. Or we have it where maybe something didn't happen, but employers educated themselves on fertility benefits and they go, I never knew that this was a thing, but now I want to build out a whole fertility plan. And they come in, June and they decide they want to build out a fertility plan and we can just pop it on there really quick. And that way it's there for their customers and they don't have to wait till renewal.
well, and that's the thing with my HSA is you can literally add a very specific category where lots of the insurers, it's a set wellness lineup. Now, of course, health spending is CRA eligible expenses, so that's sort of standard across the board. But especially when it comes to wellness, you can be very unique and very specific about what you want covered.
Yeah, something that is interesting with HSAs on that note is a lot of people they think about the full list and they say you can't go outside of that list, but they actually don't think about diving into those categories a little bit more granularly and how powerful that can be.
Totally.
So we actually something that we're seeing a huge uptake in right now is adding an HSA specifically for Ozempic
Oh,
because
interesting.
or any GLP-1 because so many people are wanting to use them. Insurance carriers are now starting to say unless it's used on label for diabetics,
Yes.
it's not eligible.
Yes.
But an HSA, as long as it's prescribed by a physician, who are we to argue that?
Exactly.
So we see a lot of customers coming over and just building out a specific HSA just for weight loss management.
Yeah.
And that can include a WSA so that they can throw in a gym membership and a Peloton at home and things like that on top of the GLP-1 management. It's pretty interesting what can be done within the parameters. People don't think of it because they're always thinking about what it can't cover. But it's like, oh, if you actually get really creative with it inside an HSA, it's pretty interesting what it can cover.
Well, it just as an advisor to be able to offer a creative solution is so powerful. And if you're not bringing that to a conversation with a client, it's a miss because it's interesting because when we work with new clients, it used to be you have to educate them on what a health spending account is. Now they're saying, could I have a myHSA and could it be a wellness as well? So it's really interesting the shift that's happened in the market.
Yeah.
Since I started 30 years ago. When just mental health was unheard of. Again, there weren't GLP-1 drugs. So things have just shifted so much and it's my HSA has just really kept up with the shifts in the market.
Yeah, I think like going back to your point about mental health and people being, it used to be that if you're going to a mental health practitioner, you are in trouble. You're
Yes.
going because crap has hit the fan and you can't, you're at the brink. Yes. And now I know so many people, especially women, but men are getting interested too, who go to their therapist the same way they go to the nail salon, the same way they'll go get their hair done. And It's
Yes.
just a proactive maintenance. Even if they're totally fine, they'll still go just to check in
Definitely.
with someone and have a sounding board and be in tune with themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that the whole industry is starting to move towards this proactive health
Hmm.
that spending accounts can also be so helpful with, because insurance,
Yes.
keep in mind, I'm so in the silo of health spending accounts that sometimes I actually don't know everything about insurance. But it seems like in a lot of cases, insurance is there for when crap hits the fan,
Hmm.
when something expensive comes up, when you've been diagnosed with something. But it's not really a proactive
Hmm.
in a lot of cases. It's not
Yes.
something where you can say, I'm going to go get a full workup with my physician just
Yes.
because I want to see.
Yes.
But with an HSA, as long as you're going to a physician, you can go get a full workup.
Yes.
Total, breakdown of everything that could possibly be a factor in your health and everything like that. So
Yeah.
that's becoming more and more popular too.
No, and things shift over your lifetime. When, this particular time of life, I'm really, pet care is top of mind, but next week it may be mental health, or I play fastball. It's probably going to be a rotator cuff issue, and I'm going to be pumping all my claims into physiotherapy. So, yeah, it really allows for flexibility. So,
Yeah, yeah. Actually, my
yeah.
husband too, he doesn't play fastball, but he does have like a pretty active lifestyle. He's a millwright, so he's just on his feet
Oh,
all day. He's moving,
yes.
he's squeezing himself into machinery and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And he's actually recently been told that he has your early onset degenerative disc disease. So he doesn't have anything specifically broken or bad, but his back is just kind of like taking the impact on his spine all the time.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear
And
that.
it's okay, because I think that because of the kind of benefits we have, he can go and get
Mhm.
plasma rich injections. He can go and get physio. He can
Yes.
go get a gym membership, because a lot of the help with that is just getting a stronger core and
Yes.
just kind of having a built-in back brace, so to speak,
Yes.
and things like that. And because that's like a specific disease that doesn't have prescribed treatment,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways. You can go for surgery, or
Mhm.
you can just move your body more, or you can just change your lifestyle. And that way, with a spending account, it can meet him wherever he's at with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Something I'm super passionate about right now, everyone who follows me on LinkedIn or talks to me or is in my orbit knows that I'm passionate about giving entrepreneurs a gateway into benefits. A lot of people start a company and they're a solopreneur, or they have a very small amount of employees, and they think they're just not eligible for benefits, or they
Mhm.
can't afford benefits, and they go without. I actually had my tattoo artist, she was finishing up a tattoo for me a couple weeks ago. She's a solopreneur. She's got her own chair, her own shop and everything. But she said to me, she's getting her wisdom teeth extracted,
Mm.
and she doesn't know if she should go for sedation or not because it's $1,000.
Oh,
And that to me just sounded insane,
yes.
that you would consider being unsedated for
Oh.
wisdom tooth removal because of the cost.
No.
And so I asked her if she has any kind of benefits, and she said no. And then I asked her, but aren't you an entrepreneur who is paying yourself? Are you incorporated? And she said yes. And I was like, girl, call me after this. I'll get you set up. This is something that a lot of entrepreneurs think they just can't have. They think they're going to be paying out of pocket for things. And I also have heard a campground host that I was friends with say, I just hope my kids don't get any cavities this year.
Mhm.
Kids are going to get cavities every year.
Definitely. Exactly.
So, Vital Partners has a lot of entrepreneurs
Yes.
as clients, a lot of
Yes.
people with small businesses. And
Yes.
how do you kind of break into that market and tell them that this is something they can get?
Yeah. Well, couple things. Your LinkedIn is amazing. I am so inspired by that. I am so scared to even post anything. It's just, it takes a special skill, and how you're uniquely used, unbelievable. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you for
you.
being such a trailblazer in that area. And I love how you're always selling, because I have so many clients that I continue to work with today that I met on a plane, or on a ball diamond, or at a hockey rink. Because I'm just so passionate about our industry, and people bug me because I'm always selling. But I really believe it. So, and to your question about your entrepreneur, it's a conversation we have a lot. We deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, for starting up. And it's important, really important to get people set up for success. And one of the questions we ask, and we want to be very clear about at the beginning, is what is your budget? And they oftentimes they don't know. So, you do some benchmarking and throw some numbers out, but then we have a conversation. If you are in an insurance plan, you're going to see increases, and the insurer is going to look at how many premiums, how much premium paid, and what the claims were, and they're gonna base their renewal and their costs on that. So with my HSA, you can be very specific. Once you hit that limit, that's your budget, and that knowledge is powerful for people starting out in business. And I also always say to clients, once the toothpaste is out of the tube with benefits, and you've offered somebody 100% this and 100% that, to cut to walk back those benefits at renewal time can be really damaging to your whole culture. And so my HSA as a standalone is such a great way to start for new entrepreneurs, because there's such cost control, and people can actually use, and lots of people don't know this, but um, people can use those dollars that are allocated towards insurance premiums. So lots of times we say to new clients and entrepreneurs, you know, set a budget that works for you, and then let your employees know that they can use those funds to fund an Alberta Blue Cross fund, or, we have access to some individual insurance products as well. And then people can have it both ways. But we deal with a lot of startups, and you have to be very clear with people, because you can get in, it can be tricky at renewal time. I never want to have those conversations where you've rolled out this Cadillac plan, and all of a sudden you have to now say, sorry, now it's been very well used, and you're getting a 40% increase in rates, and nobody wants to hear that, especially if you're an entrepreneur and really try to control costs. So
Absolutely. And I think that, to your point, like, not only is it a culture killer to pull that back once you set it up, but if you set it up that way and now you're committed to it,
yes,
and you don't know how your company's going to scale,
yeah,
that can be really hard. So that insurance premium life hack is really an unlock. And I tell lots of people that I talk to, whether it's, even, I don't even know if it's always selling or if it's just telling, because even my brother, for example, he's a new entrepreneur. He started his business. He's already employed 2 new people.
yes,
And I told him, this is a great way to set up your company for scaling, because if one of your employees does have something that costs more than your health spending account, she can go get insurance and expense it through the HSA until you're ready to provide that.
yes,
And with my HSA, we've been around since 2013. We only had spending accounts until just a couple of years ago.
right,
And it worked. We
yes,
had a generous one because we were doing well and everything like that. But for some people who have higher costs, they were able to just go and get their insurance and have it expensed through the HSA. So
yeah,
it can actually help you scale from a pretty small company to a scale up, and then you might need to introduce insurance at that point.
yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people know that unlock about the premiums.
Well, and also the distribution schedule, and that's very unique to my HSA as well. With, traditional insurers, back to that point, is that, it's most often annual allocation. So, come January 1st, if you've given somebody $1,000, they can use their $1,000 and quit on January 2nd. And that can be difficult for organizations, especially in the startup phase, where, so now with my HSA, you can do all these different distributions. So maybe it's monthly or quarterly, semi-annually or annually, and that can change over time. And you can set up those different distribution schedules for different classes, and that's very powerful too.
Yeah.
So if you've got long-time employees, maybe you want to have a different distribution schedule.
Absolutely. And
New people.
that's a good point, because we do have a lot of people that start they build out their class structure based on less than 1 year service that might have a monthly distribution schedule, which means
Yes.
it accrues throughout the year. They still get the
Yes.
full plan amount.
Yeah.
They could still use the full plan amount, but it accrues throughout the year, or they just have to submit the claim each time they get an increment. But then once they hit a year of service, they might go on an annual distribution schedule, and
Yeah.
you can basically, as long as it follows business logic, you can build the class structure however it works for your company without having exposure that makes you uncomfortable. So you have you have more cost control than even meets the eye once you look at it that way.
And you can be really unique. You know,
Yeah.
every company wants to be a little bit, put their own spin on what they're doing. And my HSA just allows you to do that. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So we're coming to the end of the podcast, and I have kind of a closing question for you. We've talked about a lot of different things, and I think advisors are going to look up to you and a lot of the stuff that you've said because you've had such good success in this industry.
Thank you.
What would be, I guess, I won't say what would be one takeaway, but what would be your thesis for advisors who are listening for how they can have success in the day and age of this industry?
I think just looking at the long game, it really is one conversation at a time. And that's all you can control is, you can't control you can only control your activity. And so just being real and trying to keep up with your education, and really understanding what the client's going through and what their goals and objectives are, that's the key. And just being you and cool, just like you are. And the whole back to meeting Tim and Steve for the first time. Oh my gosh, I think one of them was wearing a leather jacket, and the other one, I mean, Steve has had a few different hairdos, but I just remember thinking these guys are like no other. And you've continued that tradition. And just walking around your office today, I'm just so inspired about what a cool place to be.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to my conversation with Jen. Someone I've learned from a lot over the years, and someone who brings a really thoughtful perspective to this space. I hope this gave you a little bit different of a lens on benefits and HSAs, how they've evolved, where they've gotten more complex, and where they are heading. There's a lot more nuance here than people realize, and these kind of conversations are what keeps pushing things forward. As always, thanks for being here, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Beyond the Plan.